Hello and welcome to a very special video. Over the years, I've dealt with a lot of different issues with family members, friends, and so on, and a lot of it had to do with addiction and dealing with addiction. Now, why would I bring this up? Well, I wanted to do a slightly more positive video, and I wanted to talk about some ways to break the hype and bad buying habits, especially when it comes to the hobby, and more notably, Warhammer. So, the first thing in all of this is always recognizing you have a problem. Now, problem doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cause an immediate harm or anything, but it is something that can become worse over time. Now, notably in the hobby, some of the worst signs of a problem is, well, are you buying things you don't need? Or, for example, are you buying a bunch of excess paints because you saw somebody do a video and you went and bought all those exact paints, but then you ended up not really needing them and you got a lot of redundant paints? Are you buying things that you don't really need or have an actual desire for outside of, well, the hype? That's a problem. And the first part is noticing that that's going on. And honestly, you can't really do a lot of other things until you notice the problem at hand. So how do we deal with this problem once we know it? Well, first step in the whole thing, I think, which is probably one of the better ways to do it, is wait a month. I know this sounds kind of dumb and kind of simplistic, but think of it like this. A lot of GW's marketing, to use them as an example, is about generating hype, getting you excited, showing a new shiny thing to you, and then hoping that you have low enough impulse control to simply buy the damn thing. So my suggestion is, if there's something you see and you're really excited about it, give yourself a full 30 days and come back and ask yourself the simple question: do I really want that? Did the interest in it fade? Are you not really as hyped anymore? If the interest stayed, then fine. Then you are actually interested in it and you might do something with that. Otherwise, this simple thing right here will save you a ton of money and time, and you'll feel a lot less like you're being pushed into a purchase, and you give yourself a little bit of time to make plans if you are actually interested. Okay, so what do you do next? Well, another good way of handling this is you don't have to stop doing hobby and buying hobby-related things per se. But one thing I would say is create yourself a budget. Go, this is the maximum amount of money I will spend a month on a hobby. And that way you know exactly what you're going to spend. You take care of your bills, you take care of your duties, and you do all of the things that you do to take care of everything that needs to be done. Buying food, paying rent. Surprisingly, there's a lot of people I've known who forgoed paying their rent to buy Warhammer. I'm just saying this is a good step to have in there. Doing all of the things, paying all your bills, taking care of all the necessities, making sure your family's taken care of, all that. And then having that set budget and not budging on it. Be it whatever amount, I'd say start with a somewhat smallish amount. $25, $50. I know we're talking Warhammer, and Warhammer tends to be a whole lot more expensive. But think of it like this. If you're going to buy something more expensive, you just put that money to the side. You save it. A good habit to have, by the way. And then the next month, you buy the item. You create a habit of not rushing into purchases, planning your purchases, having the discipline to make the sacrifices needed to do all the things you need to take care of yourself and your family, and to meet all of your requirements and duties, and then being able to make purchases and be able to make informed purchases on top of it. If you have to save that money, you know 100% when you buy that thing, it's what you actually want. And it'll keep you from spending a huge amount of money at a time you don't need. If you know there's going to be a big box set, put that money aside for a few months. Have it there for when you're going to get that big box set. Just do not rush into making purchases. Create that discipline so that you can control it. You do not need to single-handedly make sure that Games Workshop, just using them as an example, CEO gets his next big fat unwarranted bonus. So these are really kind of simple things. And I know a lot of people would be like, well, no, duh. But there's a lot of people who don't know these at all. So let's go over it really quick. First, we recognize there's a problem. 2, we go, okay, well, we're going to delay a purchase on something that's brand new for a month to see if we really want it. 3, we create a modest budget and we make sure we take care of all of our responsibilities before we even consider purchasing something. We set a budget that's reasonable, and then we save if we're going to make big dollar purchases. What else can we add to that? Okay, well, here's another one. If you have a pile of shame, go for your pile of shame. Pick the things that you're going, or separate it, for example, into things that you know you want to handle soon, things that you might want to handle within a year, let's say 6 months to a year, and then the never pile. If things go into the never pile, there's a few ways you can look at it. You can look at it as fodder for a future product or a project, or you can give it to someone that's new, give it to a friend, or sell it, and then use that to fund other hobby things. But you need to go in, figure out what you're doing with these things. And again, this is another way to go, look, I have all of these other projects that I need to handle before I make new purchases. And once you've created those other things, this will help you be able to create even more discipline and give you things to do in the meantime. Take advantage of the pile of shame actually being something productive and healthy for your habits. Good Lord. Of course, I can talk about, ways to set up a reasonable schedule to take or to build models, to paint them, all that. All of it takes time. And what we're doing is we're introducing more and more of a time scale so that we make better decisions with our time, our money, and our effort. Your passion should not go to waste on something that you're going to regret purchasing. So we are going to recognize there's a problem. We are going to set up a delay on purchases for 30 days. We're going to create a budget where we make sure we have a set amount of money that we can spend a month and create a habit of saving. And on top of it, make sure we pay all of our bills. And then we're going to use our pile of shame to help create a situation that we can deal with all of those habits being created and cemented by distracting ourselves with projects that we've had on the back burner for probably years, if not longer. So I hope these are some things that help people. I know a lot of people, well, you get into a hobby, you get into some of these things and you feel rushed and you want to be part of the excitement, but really it's more about having a healthy mentality of going into these projects and to these hobbies so that they become and stay hobbies and not a big giant, pile that's threatening to crush you. So I hope that helps some people. I know it seems a little bit pointless, but I think it's always a good thing to put that out there because there are younger people that, they don't know all of these things. And I can talk about some ways of how to pace yourself on painting, building, and all that other people really want. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.